So following the updates from Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 1, the folks at Epic Games have just updated this to Preview 2, and with the Preview 2 comes a couple of features that lots of creators have always wanted. So whether you're into architectural visualization or simply rendering for automotive or any form of rendering whatsoever, and you're thinking about using Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 2 now comes with a new set of features that can help in your daily workflow, and this includes importing of animated FBX and GLTF files, pin camera to viewport feature, and also the scattering tool now works even better than before. And for those who are thinking about taking a look at the release note, and probably you'd like to read up on this, I'm going to put a link in the description that'll bring you right here, where you can take advantage of the early access to all of this and start working with it. And with that said, let's dive directly into Twinmotion and take a look at how this actually works. So with Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 1 opened right here, you can tell that we have a very basic scene. So we're going to start off by exploring the very first cool feature that I think a lot of people have always wanted, and that feature gets to deal with importing animated files. So at this point, if you would like to import any of those, you can go over to the import section, click on the plus button, and right here you would notice that we have animation. Now if you click on the open button and you find any of the animated piece you like to import, you can simply click on that and click on open. And once you click on open, you can click on the word import, and this would automatically import that animated piece onto your viewport. One thing which you'd notice straight off is once you import this, especially if you download them off any of the websites, say Sketchfab and the likes, this imports as just plain white. And for you to start playing with the materials, you need to go over to the material section, go over to where you have your color properties, and just to test which material you're actually playing with, I would suggest you play with the colors. So at this point, we know we're playing with the base. You can simply set that as it is, then go all the way down, go to where you have details, click on the tiny texture button here, click on import, and import the texture of the model. You can now go all the way back and set this to white, and then click on OK. So the same thing can be done with the pick character that we have just bouncing, and you can go to town with it by throwing in as many textures as you want. And with all of this here, there's a few things to keep in mind when working with animated characters. First of all, if you're thinking about bringing out animated characters from the Sketchfab library, these may not work. So what I mean by that is this, that if you go ahead and drag in any of these animated characters, say for example the Phoenix bed, and you drag that in, this is definitely not going to be animated. Of course, if you go over to Sketchfab and take a look at the Phoenix bed, this comes animated, but currently this doesn't support drag and drop from Sketchfab animated characters just yet, as it's currently in early access. There's a few things you can have access to. With that out of the way, if you drag in an animated character that has multiple animations, you can select those animations one after the other. So in this case, we have this pig just doing the idle pose. If we would like to switch this to a simple T pose, we can go ahead and take a look at the animations that this comes with. So the biped one definitely has its own animation, so we can have that. And we can also have the home animation, which is more like the default one. So you can also see that down here where we have additional bones, you can see the simple idle animation, and you also have the simple home animation. So this is some of the things to keep in mind. Other things includes that your animated characters have 3 different playbacks, which one of them deals with off, which simply pauses the animation. You have once, which plays the animation just once, and you also have loop, which continually loops the animation over time. So if you like to have a character running, jumping, you may want to animate that character within a given direction for it to continually have that motion over and over. Other than that, all you have is a simple off, once, and also loop. Secondly, a new feature which is now available with Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 1 is the scatter. So if you simply go over to populate section and you go over to the foliage, you can simply scatter or paint things better at this point. Say for example, like to paint a few vegetations, we can throw in those vegetations. You can actually throw in vegetations from both Sketchfab and also the ones that exist within Twinmotion, and you can use the paint tool to paint them however you choose. This way, you now have control of how you paint both characters, props, and also vegetations across your scene. And at any time you're making your paintings, you can play with the density of the models. So say for example, you like to increase or reduce certain densities, you can do that as you progress. So we can go over to the painting tool and we can paint. So we can choose to paint as much as this within the viewport and to any of the models that we want to reduce how much influence they have within the viewport. You can now sub-procedurally work on them. We can go to the rocks and drop that rock about the point like so. And for example, if we like to have the trees more, we can crank up those trees, and we can also do the same thing with as the other trees that we have as well. If we like the grass to be more, we can increase the density of the grass and you notice we have more grasses on the viewport. We can also choose to play with the scaling in terms of size, and we can go all the way down and add more details. So currently, once you're working on this, you now have a work in progress that actually shows you that your viewport is being updated in real time. In terms of extra stuff like this, which includes the tropical plant, you can also go to town with it, drop them down, and increase them at will. And if you're thinking about importing or adding more stuff to your viewport or to your scattering tool, you can. So in this case, we can go over to Sketchfab and select one of these other ones. So for example, we can grab these and also grab the other one. Let's also see if we can grab these ones as well. So we can grab the stylized one and drag this directly into the viewport too. So once you drop that, you would notice that automatically this updates within your viewport. So let's go ahead and undo that and turn this off. Let's select that. And you notice that once we drop that within the scattering tool or within the painting tool, automatically that updates. So we can also proceed to have that selected, and we can increase the density of that as well. So just in case you've been thinking about playing with trees, playing with vegetations, working with vegetations from different platforms, now you can. And the best part, you now have real-time updates happening within your viewport as you work with Twinmotion. Something else which is super interesting to see is the pin camera. So at this point, you can pin cameras depending on what you like to achieve. So we're just going to go ahead and pose our model like this. Say maybe, for example, we'd like to have a time of day, something about this much. Actually, let's get in some more light. So we can have a time of day like that. And we can throw in the cloud. We can go ahead and throw in that cloud. And once we're done, we'll go over to the media section and create a simple image. So once we click and we have that image, we can zoom all the way in, make the position that we want, or simply set this how we want it to be. So maybe we like it to be about this much. We can have that there. And once we're done, we're going to update it. Now, whatever you update here, you now get to see it within your viewport. So the pin camera is now available as a feature which comes automatically within your viewport. And you would also notice you have a few tools that you can play with. So just in case you like to see this in low quality or in high quality, you can turn the low quality or the high quality on depending on what you want. At the same time, you also have a very tiny lock button which you can unlock. So just in case you like to dock this onto another viewport, now you can. We can dock that back and you can see it automatically snaps back to your viewport, and you've got a close button, which I believe lots of people wouldn't want to turn off. So with that, you can have your camera position where you want it to be while you freely work within your viewport and add other details around your scene. So for the most part, if you're thinking about working with Twinmotion currently, there's a lot of features and cool improvements that are now available. Some things to keep in mind is the scatter cannot be used for animated images, which is one of those things that we did try and notice that it's actually not possible. You can bring in animated images and use the scatter tool to populate them, just simply because you first of all cannot be able to put those things into a custom library like you can do with every other thing. So just in case you're thinking about populating stuff, I would suggest you use a custom path tool and actually populate things across your viewport, which I believe is one of the best ways that you can go to town with. Furthermore, if you're also thinking about importing models, probably you have characters or animated pieces that gets animated, I would suggest that you create these animations in other DCC apps before bringing them in. And you should also keep in mind that if you want them to travel a distance, you need to create whatever distance you want them to travel before you import them in. More so, for those who are thinking about reading about more of this, there's going to be a link in the description that will bring you right here where you can read up on all of the release notes for Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 2. And for those who like to catch up on the video which we made for Twinmotion 2023.2 Preview 1, or maybe you like to read this as well, all of these available links will be in the description, so do well to check it out. The folks at Epic Games are doing all they can to meet up with all of the roadmaps that they've set for Twinmotion, and lots of these things that they've put out here are now coming to fruition. So we've seen the camera preview, we've seen some templates, and we've also seen Lumen come over to Twinmotion, and more so, we've seen imported animated FBX, GLT, or GLB files now available in Twinmotion, and as well, more tools might be coming to this. So this is it. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section, and of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like, and don't forget to share with a friend. And until I see you guys in the next one, peace.